So I was the manager of the TIES program, which is Team for Infants Endangered by Substance Use. And we were working with moms who were in early recovery or not, and were needing housing. And the Metropolitan Drug Exposed Infants Task Force was meeting regularly, and I was whining about this regularly to Alice, for whom I worked. And Alice was not one to just hear whining. So she was like, okay, well, we're starting a subgroup of the task force, and you're going to chair it, and we're going to find some housing.
It was apparent at that time that crack cocaine was really affecting women on the streets. It was really cheap. It was marketed very well. We formed a Metropolitan Drug Exposed Infant Task Force, and this was for agencies that had some relationship to the challenge.
At the time, a group of us who were social workers, drug treatment providers, people in family drug court were seeing women leave 30-day treatment programs, and they had nowhere to go. No one would rent to them. No one would hire them.
Almost always on the agenda with our monthly meetings, housing issues would come up. We had ample treatment back in the day, once upon a time, and it's hard to believe that inpatient treatment lasted for 90 days. But then when they were finished with treatment, where do you go after that? Particularly women with children. There just wasn't a lot of available housing.
We met forever and ever and ever before we opened the doors of Amethyst Place. We had just kind of ironed out enough wrinkles, and when Pat Brown from the Department of Mental Health came to the table with vouchers, we knew that the next thing we had to do was find a building.
I was a foster parent at the time, and I fostered drug-exposed infants, so there was the natural connection. I was the government representative. I brought government dollars to the table, federal funds, we had state funds, we even had access to some private funds.
Once we had the vouchers, we could take the next step to find a location, which was on Benton Boulevard.
So we decided, against all traditional wisdom from all of the people and all of our practice training, to do what is not advised, and that is we snuck into the neighborhood overnight on a weekend, took down the yellow police ticker tape, cleaned it up, mowed the lawn, and the moms were out there in their strollers with their babies and being like good neighbors.
It was an older building. It had been a drug house. And they cleaned it up and painted it, and then we moved in. Well, it looked like 4 stories, and it didn't have an elevator in it, and we moved furniture to the 4th floor.
And so that was our beginning. I was there actually on move-in date and watch women walk into these apartments that were fully furnished with place settings at the table, food in the cupboards, hygiene products, and towels hung in the bathroom, children's rooms appropriately furnished. These were all 2-bedroom apartments, and they were really charming and quite quaint. And they were happy, and they were tears of joy. You know, women saying, "This is the nicest place I have ever lived," or kids saying, "I've never had a bed before." Or even some of the mothers saying that they had never had a bed before. And that to me was really telling in terms of how much this project would continue to mean to not only the women who moved in on that hot day on May 1st, but for women to come.
So we knew that we needed more space. The waiting list just grew and grew. And when I left here, there were about 35 families waiting to get in. And it was 6 to 9 months at that time before a family could get in. We decided that we could replicate the program without spending a ton more money. We looked and looked and looked at a lot of different buildings until we found this building on Troost, and that we first got the 12-unit building.
I think probably moving from 11th and Benton to our first location on this side was huge. And then when we got the campus across, I remember sitting in the board meeting and I did cry, because I was just absolutely blown away. It was beyond my wildest dreams at that point in time.
For me, the important piece are the moms and the kids, the families, and that we not lose sight of that. Kim knew every one of them, personally, by name, and so on. Yes, we have to go to the community. Yes, we have to raise money. Yes, we have to do all those things. But the real reason is the women.
The great part about it is what it does for the moms and the children. And that's the important thing to me. I mean, if it was out in a tent in the yard and we were doing the same thing, I'd be fine.
it's gotten better and better. Every evolution has made it more solid, more connected to the whole community, more agencies and individuals committed to the mission.
There's a couple of things that I remember really specifically. One of them was that we were trying to figure out the name, and we were going round and round and round. There was a dictionary on the table.
That's correct.
I grabbed the dictionary, and one of the first words in the dictionary, not the first word, but one of the first words was amethyst, and the definition was maybe a mineral, some kind of a stone or some kind of mineral that protects against drunkenness, and not just protects against drunkenness, but protects women against drunkenness. And so I said, what about amethyst? And so then from there on, we got to Amethyst Place. And I think it was a perfect name. It just seems to have been exactly right. And that was a lot of fun.